Hello, everybody, and welcome into episode 86 of the Dorton and Duckett Debate podcast. I'm Lucas Dorton. Nick Duckett's joining me with us today, too, of course. And a little bit different format today, folks. We have two people from the same team at the same time. We have Bryan and Matt, both for players for Morristown, here with us. I hear Matt goes by the alias of Chaz Tolbert, so we'll maybe mix that in every once in a while. Bryan, I got to hear what is your player name? I heard everyone gets one, so I got to hear what yours is.
Spanky McFarland.
I told you some of them you never know.
Nice.
Yep, I've had that for 16 years.
Chaz and Spanky.
Chaz and Spanky. Yeah, it sounds like a comedy show or something.
Well, sometimes they're playing the baseball field as a comedy show. So
that's good. That's good. Nice. Awesome. Sweet. Yeah. Well, like I said, thanks for joining the show, guys. I really appreciate having you on. But so tell me a little bit about both yourselves. Matt, I'll start with you and then into Bryan. Talk to me about your Morristown Townball days. When did that start? And kind of, I guess, how did you first get into it?
Yeah, so I grew up in Morristown. I grew up about a block away from the field, actually. So you can almost see it from our deck growing up. I could almost see the ball field. But I started playing after my sophomore year of high school. So I think that was 2008 is when I started. So I believe that would make this last year or this current year the 17th year I've played on the Morries. So yeah, it's been fun. Didn't play a whole lot as a younger guy. It's been fun to kind of transition from that young guy that doesn't play into I would say, one of the more veteran guys on the team. Even though we do have a few older guys, but yeah, it's been a fun ride. Seeing how the team's transformed. Started out, like you said, a bunch of young guys, not married, no kids, things like that. And then now I think we're up to like 17 kids, but between all the players or something, with the majority of those being boys. So it's kind of fun seeing the next generation of the Morries being brought up.
Yeah, absolutely. Bryan, what about you? Talk to me a little about how you first got into the Morries here.
yeah, so I I actually grew up in Waterville, so I actually remember going to like the Waterville Indians games as a kid. My dad got us into that. But going to high school with Matt, and I think my older brother joined the same year as Matt. I actually joined the year after. So I think that timeline matches. This was my 16th year. It's kind of hard to believe that I've been playing for that long. Um, but yeah, it's always just kind of been a fun experience. Like Matt said, your first couple of years, you just kind of get into it. I was a little more fortunate my first couple of years. We didn't really have a second baseman, and that's kind of where I've been sitting my whole career at second base. But so I got to play maybe a little bit more at the beginning, but it's been really fun to grow into the team and how much it's stayed the same and how much it's changed over the past 16 years. Bringing in new guys, I think, like 7, 8 years ago, um, that really kind of took us to another level. That allowed us to get to state in 2019, which was definitely as a team was definitely the pinnacle for us, which was pretty cool to make it. Yeah, like Matt said, it's really cool to see all the kids there. It's fun to see all the families growing up. I have three of my own, and getting to see their enjoyment at the game, and it helps to make it like a whole family environment, and um, where the wives are kind of like, "Oh, we need you at home to do this and that," but then when you make the whole like family and atmosphere out of it, it's easier to sit there, or like coming to Arlington to visit my in-laws and getting to watch your guys' games is always, it's always kind of a fun treat to be around and get to know everyone.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, that is cool. That is definitely a big theme that I've heard from a lot of people too. It's just the family aspect of it all. Like it's not only a thing for you, but like, yeah, for the families, like they're just as much a part of the team as you guys are, even though they may not be out there playing with you. But yeah, that's what makes it awesome. That makes it
Like,
awesome.
kids get to go on the field after the game and run the bases or crawl the bases or
Yeah,
Yeah.
do
absolutely.
whatever.
I'd say it's crazy. When we started, I don't think there's maybe two kids that would come onto the field after the game. And
Like
now after the
cars.
game, it's like,
Madhouse.
there's probably 10 or 15 kids from our
Really?
side and however many from the other side, from the other team. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. You
packed
think
field.
about one of the first kids was probably Kyle Green's son, Carson, who is now like 15 and he got to play in his
Wow.
first game
Nice.
or whatever. So, he's 15. So he wasn't even born when we started.
Mhm.
Crazy.
And now
That's
he's on the
crazy.
team and getting some playing time. So it's cool.
Yeah, that full circle moment, especially. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, before we get going any further here, I like to ask the kind of the same questions to everyone just to get to know, a little more about their baseball fandom and kind of where they are with that. So for both of you, are the Minnesota Twins, is that your favorite MLB franchise? I assume so. Figure I'm just gonna leave with that
Yes.
until someone tells me otherwise. Um, that's awesome. Cool. So both you guys, Bryan, I'll start with you on this one. Who is your favorite all-time Minnesota Twin and why?
Oh, favorite all-time Minnesota Twin. I think I go with Justin Morneau.
Yeah.
I loved him coming up and hitting home runs and because I think we lacked a power hitter for a long time. So it was always really cool. And he kind of had the big swing and the helicopter finish when he first came up. And I just always enjoyed that. I love Joe Mauer too, but I think Joe Mauer was kind of the more popular one. So it was easy to kind of pick Morneau off of that.
Yeah.
So I would probably go Justin Morneau.
I love it. Matt, what about you?
I don't know if I have a single favorite guy. I mean, the early 2000s Twins were this. I mean, that was growing up where I kind of fell in love with baseball. You have like the Doug Minkiewicz's, the Korikoski, Jock Jones, those kind of players. And so I don't know if I could pick one of them. I mean, I love Jim Thome in the 2010 years.
Yeah.
Like it's hard to go wrong with him. Just coming in and just mashing home runs like that. Uh, but yeah, I don't know if I have a favorite Twin. I would say it's more of a favorite like time of the Twins, which would have been like the early 2000s.
Those were the good years.
Yeah.
They were Matt back in the dome.
Yep.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I wasn't living in Minnesota at the time, and I didn't know I was ever going to be out here to be able to experience the dome. But I played on MLB The Show a lot, so I got to, get there, and that was kind of cool. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, there's some crazy games that we went to in the Metrodome.
Game 163, that playoff game, that was
Yep.
something.
So you got to go to that game. I was at the 2002 ALCS. I mean, we lost, but that was pretty cool to be able to experience some of the original, I guess, in my lifetime playoff baseball.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
remember watching game 163 at home. That was pretty cool. That's the only thing I remember.
Yeah, it was nuts.
Really cool.
The casino walk on.
Yeah.
Yep. Was it game 162 that we were at as well that year?
Yeah, we went to game 162, and then I think Ty went to the Monday Night Football game when Brett Favre was our quarterback, and whatever that was on like Monday night, and then Tuesday night we went back up to game 163.
I was at game 162 as well, and I remember they gave you a thing that said like, was that the year? Was that the last year of the dome?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah, they gave us a thing that said like last regular season game at the Dome or whatever, and then technically there was another regular season game like 2 days later.
Yeah,
game 163.
That's awesome. So now, who is your favorite, maybe all-time non-Minnesota Twin? So just someone that, or maybe if they were on the Twins, it was for like a very brief amount of time, but they're known for playing their career mainly somewhere else. Matt, should I start with you on this, or do you want to pass it to Bryan to start?
Yeah, there's a couple guys, different eras. I mean, like Mike Trout right now is just, it's hard to not be amazed by what he's done, just kind of at such a young age, and how he's kind of been hampered by injuries. But he's especially the last like whatever 10, 11, however long he's been playing. I would say he's up there. Might be a little more controversial, but looking at the early 2000s, like at a Barry Bonds, like what he did during that time was just absolutely insane. I know there's the steroid stuff, but like you still got to be able to hit the ball. And I mean, I've seen stats of like his on base percentage over like a 3-year span was almost 500. Like that's just absolutely insane. Otherwise, Miguel Cabrera is another guy that he just, the way he went about the game and just made contact, power to the opposite field. I just thought that was always really cool. So those would be a couple guys I think that would be, some of my favorites kind of through the 2000s and to today.
I love the Miggy one too. I think one of my favorite clips of him ever was when like the '03 World Series on the Marlins when he's going against Roger Clemens and he's giving him the chin
Exercise.
music and just stares him down and then he hits an opposite field laser just barely over the fence. That's pretty cool.
I got to add one in there, Roy Halladay.
Oh
He's,
yeah,
he's
Colorado boy. Yeah, absolutely.
as a pitcher, he's a fellow pitcher. He's a
Yeah,
throw two seam like him, man.
unbelievable. That playoff game
Something,
where he
yeah.
threw the no hitter was unbelievable.
Yeah.
That was awesome. That was awesome.
Yep. So yeah, add a fourth one there.
I love it. Yeah, Brian, what about you?
Yeah, so I definitely Barry Bonds watching him growing up. I would say he's one of them. But going back before that, probably my favorite is Roger Maris.
Hmm.
I actually named my daughter after him, so her name is Maris. So
Not Roger.
I don't know. No, didn't want to go Roger. So
That's
I
your
know
uncle.
yeah, that is my uncle. But no, I always liked the movie 61, and then kind of following that story back. It's kind of cool. He's like the small town kid in New York and playing baseball there and breaking the home run record, and actually not knowing that he had the home run record for a long time was always kind of a cool thing. So something with just like the underdog of it's pretty cool to me.
Yeah, that's sweet. That's sweet.
Barry Bonds is my guy. I've always loved Barry Bonds too. I have a Barry Bonds autograph somewhere that I was looking for.
Oh, that's
Very
awesome.
sweet.
I guess I don't even know where the heck I put it.
Toss in the
It's with all
closet
my
somewhere.
other memorabilia somewhere. Yeah, I love Barry Bonds.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have one more question for you. This is a new one from Brett Krushke, who texted me. He said, "Who is your favorite random Minnesota Twins player, or just
Oh,
someone just
Os-
completely random?"
Oswaldo Arcia.
Yeah,
Yes.
Oswaldo.
He would hit just mammoth home runs.
Matt, and out of left field Twins player that you really appreciated.
I don't know if I have just a completely random one. I mean, Matt Lawton was always a favorite growing up. That's just because I had the same name.
Yeah.
We had the same first names. Otherwise, there was nothing similar about us. But
Not
I always
Matt
thought he was kind of a cool
Tolbert?
player.
Yeah, Matt
There is a
Tolbert.
Matt Tolbert out there, which that's potentially where the last name Tolbert comes from.
Brother
Middle
of
infielder.
Chaz?
Let's see. I don't know. I would say Matt Lawton probably be the most random one.
Love it.
I don't know if I have a good one.
That's all right. That works for us. That works for us.
I mean, I'll throw a random name out there. Michael Restovich. I found a
yeah.
rookie card of his.
I don't know who that is. So
That's a good
random,
one.
random Twins player that I had a rookie card and found it in my parents' basement.
I don't even know who I would say.
Oh, Nick Punto seems like a classic one, and a lot of people throw out there.
I never liked Punto.
Not a fan.
It's funny. Cool, awesome. Well, if we think of another one, just blurt it out whenever. That's totally okay. Sweet, yeah, no, that's cool. I love to hear what different people come from, and that's a lot of Minnesota Twins stuff. Obviously, makes sense, but not all of them are the same. So it's cool to hear people's thoughts behind their guys they like watching. So that's cool. Sweet, yeah. So let's talk about a little bit about the season. So how did this season go for Morristown? How are we doing currently right now? And I guess what was the expectations going into the year versus where we're at now with things? And whoever wants to jump on that right away, feel free.
I'll let Brian take that. He has a little more insight on how the season went. Then I can chime in too.
Sure.
Expectation was state championship. No, I'm just kidding.
I love it.
No, yeah, I think we have like pretty good aspirations to make it to, we're in the same region, to the region tournament, and at least have a chance. And when you get there, to make it to the state tournament, I think that's somewhere where our realistic expectations were at the beginning of the year. I think that's kind of our goal, is to get to the state tournament. But it started off, seemed like we were doing really well. We were hitting the ball, scoring runs, doing all the right things, and then I don't know what happened mid-June. We just hit a wall. It didn't matter who was pitching. We couldn't hit the ball. We couldn't score runs. We were playing the defense pretty good, pitching pretty well. We just couldn't score runs, and got to our league playoffs, and Eagle Lake beat us, and then Wells beat us, and kind of a crazy finish down in Wells. We had oh man, I think we were up like 6-3 or something like that going into the bottom of the eighth, and they scored 5-3. They scored 4 runs. They went up 7-5. We loaded the bases in the ninth. They hit our 4-hitter. I think that was right. Yeah, they hit our 4-hitter, so walked in a run. Went 7-6, and then our 5-hitter was up. He got hit by a pitch, and the umpire on a full count, but the umpire called it strike 3.
No way.
Yeah, he called it strike 3. He said you leaned into it and called it strike 3, and that was our second out. And we still had the bases loaded. And our next hitter, Landon Harmon, he's kind of our big hitter who hits a lot of home runs and drives the ball, hits the line drive up the middle. Second baseman runs behind second, makes a backhanded diving catch, and the season's over.
Oh,
So it was
wow.
it was a sharp drop off that was a pretty abrupt ending, I would say, as far as where we wanted to go. But it was fun. But yeah, pretty quick ending. I don't know what you have to add to that, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't around for a lot of the season. So I used to live I grew up in Morristown. I've lived in Faribault, right next to Morristown, southern Twin Cities. And actually just like, was it 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago now, I moved down to Des Moines, Iowa. So I actually live down about 3 hours away from the field. So I try to get up and play as much as I can, which my wife and I just had our first son about a year ago now. So got a lot tougher this year to make it up. So I did get my 4 games in for playoffs, and but yeah, it was pretty tough this year getting up. Just get busy, don't have the time, and obviously it's a 3-hour drive, so it's a long ways. Try to make the weekend out of it. See, I have a lot of friends, a lot of family up there, so it's not like we just come up for baseball and leave, but which is nice to make it it's a family, like Bryan was saying earlier, it's a family affair now. So it's not just hey, my wife sits at home, or it's just her sitting at the field. There's a whole group of wives and kids, and kind of that community aspect. But yeah, I only made it to 4 games, and I was hoping they could win one of the playoff games, because I was going to get up there the next weekend and try to play and help get us into regions, but didn't happen. So early exit to the year, and short season for me, but it's always still fun getting up there and playing.
We were 1-2 barbecue also, so
yeah, it's always hard trying to navigate missing Matt on the squad. He's our ace pitcher, and he's our 4-hitter, so having to kind of work around that it's always a tall task. So we definitely appreciate when Matt can drive down, but also understand that the 3-hour trip isn't always there. He actually did buzz down on a Wednesday night to get one of his 4 games in, so that was
nice.
That was very much appreciated.
Dedication,
folks.
Yeah,
that is Townball commitment.
But I'll add also our season. One thing that was probably a huge positive was we finally got some young kids to join the team who are pretty good contributors, and I think they're going to be around for a few years, which is something that we've definitely needed because we're not getting any younger.
Yeah, so, our average age is getting up there. Our average age on the team's got to be mid to upper 30s.
Okay.
Yeah, our first baseman, Doug Harmon, he is
57?
57, 58. Yeah, he hit a home run this year.
Wow,
he did hit one. Yeah, he almost hit 2 more in the league playoffs too. He had a couple doubles that short off the wall.
Wow.
At 57?
Yeah.
So his 2 sons play on the team, and they're 2 of our better players too. So
okay,
that's always fun seeing those guys.
If we ever play you guys, I'm just kidding. He strikes out and everything.
Yeah,
just throw him fastballs right down the middle.
Right down the middle. Yeah, that's a good call.
Yeah, I was gonna say we got another guy in the team that's in his 40s.
Yeah, Kyle's like 45. Richie's he's 42.
Low 40s, yeah, something like that.
Well, Herb's getting
up there.
Yeah. He's up
there.
The
upper 30s. So yeah, that's 4 or 5 of our guys are in that low 40, 50, upper 30s range, and Bryan and I aren't that young anymore.
Yeah, it was funny. Like 2-3 years ago, I think we signed Richie back because he was with us, and then he went to Waterville for like 15 years or 10 years or whatever. Then came back here, and I think we signed Jay Herman that year, and we were joking about that. Signed a 40-year-old and like a 42-year-old.
Yeah,
big signees.
Yeah,
that's awesome. So talk to me a little bit about maybe people who aren't as familiar with the league that you play in and some of the teams that you guys go against. I guess who are your guys' big rivals? Like, if they want to circle a game on the calendar to come watch, what's a good one to come watch?
It's usually going to be Waterville.
Okay.
That's typically like that's our rival. I don't think we have like any necessarily like bad blood or anything like
Sure.
that. Like there's not
Yep.
fights, but that's usually kind of the
5 miles down the road.
yeah, and it's usually the big one. And we actually we did end up beating them this year, which was kind of a big moment for us because we haven't beaten them in like 12, 13 years. It's been a very long time.
Sure.
And then
I've played for the A's for 10 years and I've never beat Jordan.
yeah, well,
you may
yeah,
play
that's
another
fair.
10 or 15 and not beat him.
Yeah.
No offense to Arlington.
No, hey, none
Yeah.
taken. None taken.
Yeah. And we had a game there, and then our second game against Waterville, we lost 1-0 in 10 innings, and Matt actually pitched a pretty good game. We just couldn't muster anything. We didn't get a hit, and our only chance to score a run, a guy got thrown out at home on a pass ball.
Yeah.
So I would
there,
say,
I mean, no moral victories in sports, but I mean, you beat them
Yeah.
once and hung with them a second time.
yeah.
A little victory.
So it was, So it was that. If you want to see a lot of runs scored, watch us play Wells. Those are typically games where one of us is going to score in the teens, if not both of us.
Oh, wow. Okay.
For whatever reason, it's always a slow pitch softball game. I don't know why.
Elysian's never
used
had
to be a lot. Who?
Has Elysian ever had a town team?
Ooh, didn't they have one a long time ago?
Yeah, I think the early 2000s they did.
Okay.
But it's been a
we
long
got a
time.
couple guys from Elysian, didn't we?
I think the Renses, they were.
When Cochran, I thought played over there at one point, but maybe
probably
not.
Did, yeah.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it's a lot of teams. I mean, it used to be a lot more on Highway 13 and Highway 60 that made up the league, but now it's kind of spread out a little bit. We've had a few teams fold in there, and we've added a couple teams, but we have Moss, Waterville, Waseek, Blue Earth, Wells, Minnesota Lake, Lake Crystal, Cleveland, Eagle Lake. I guess used to be Janesville, now it's North Mankato.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think that's about everybody in our league.
Yeah. I think we had St. Clair, then they joined your guys' league a couple years
after.
St.
Clair for a couple of years. Yeah, we had New Richland at one point. They folded.
Yeah.
Lake Crystal's had a team for a while. They were always pretty solid, and when we started, then they folded for a few years. Now they're back. There used to be two teams out of Cleveland.
Yeah.
Down a couple hundred people. They used to have two teams.
Jeez. That's awesome.
But
yeah. So you mentioned Bryan, second baseman, Matt, pitcher. Is that kind of where you kind of mentioned, Bryan, you've kind of always been there? Matt, have you kind of always been pitcher, or do you dabble in some other positions too?
Pretty well always pitched. High school played shortstop. That's kind of when I guess started on the Morries as shortstop, but I never played because our shortstop was pretty solid about that started. I've played left field for a couple of years, DH here and there. Now I've gotten slower and older, so I've kind of played first base, DH, and pitcher, kind of the three that I mainly have settled in on. But I've played pretty well everywhere except catcher and second base. Spanky holds that one down.
Spanky.
Yeah, actually, when we did play Lake Crystal this year, I got a half an inning in right field. Right? That was kind of our last game that didn't mean a lot for seeding. So it was nice to have a day off, and I had to go into the last half inning because one of our young guys was cramping. So I got to go stand out there. Thankfully, nothing was hit out there.
The young guy was cramping.
He was.
Old guy out there.
They're like, oh, well, we can move everyone around. I said, I can go stand out there for 1/2 inning. I think it shouldn't be too bad.
That's good. Now, talk to me a little bit about both you guys. I mean, you've both been on the team for a while now, and you've seen obviously the progression throughout the years of not only yourself but of the Morries in general too. So, talk to me a little bit about I guess your role and how you see your role from when you first started on the team and kind of how that progressed to where you are now. Bryan, I'll start with you on that one.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think first starting on the team, I was like, I think fairly nervous as a high school kid, like fairly intimidated by it. Just, just respecting um, all the other guys on the team and all the other guys in the league. It was kind of like, oh, this is a big deal. This is a big step up from high school. I think it was just a role of being there to do whatever I could, field a ground ball, bunt guys over, XYZ kind of thing. And that was kind of the role for a few years. And then I think a few years after that, for a while, we got down to like 9 or 10 guys, and it was the Iron Nine. So I mean, it was all hands on deck. And it, so I think just being super committed with everyone else, and Matt knows this too, because Matt was at every single game, and I have two brothers Matt has a brother that was at every single game. I have two brothers that was at every single game for a long time, and there was probably a good 7 year period, and it was tough because we I don't know if it was talent probably, but we just could never figure out how to quite get to that next step, and we were probably missing some pieces. So that was challenging for a lot of years to be able to keep showing up. You're trying to have a family, you're trying to do this stuff. And then probably 7 or 8 years ago, we had Bradley Van Dynes join the team. He's our left fielder and 3-hitter, and he's kind of been there ever since he joined. And then his uncle and his cousins, so Doug Harmon, the old guy, joined the team, and then his two sons, Tate and Landon, joined the team, and they were kind of a big piece to getting us there because we added two middle of the lineup hitters, a very athletic center fielder, a very good pitcher in Tate, and then Landon is our catcher and our middle of the lineup hitter, and he's a very good pitcher as well. And so I think it's just for Matt and I, we've kind of been, I guess, every role. I mean, other than Matt, you've had probably a bigger role being a pitcher, so you've, won more games for us directly, but being glue guys, keeping the team together, and you don't want to miss the guys like Kyle and Brent Valbrick, because those guys were also through it, and they've been playing for a lot longer than us even. So, because I think Kyle started in 91, the year we were born.
Holy smokes.
When he was like 13, so he's going on 32 years.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's wild.
But yeah, feel free to add on to that, Matt. Sorry, I kind of got rambling.
No, go ahead. Yeah, Matt, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's, looking at the role within the, like, on the team, on the field, but also like, like Brian said, we're just, your first few years, you're just trying to figure it out. Like, where do you fit in on the team? Should I be the serious guy, the funny guy, are you the motivator? Are you the loud guy? Are you the quiet guy? Are you just, what's your role on the team? So I think that always takes the first few years, and that was kind of where at least I felt like it was the first couple of years. But then, like Brian said, came to the middle, and it was just like, hey, I don't care how good you are, you just got to show up. We need 9 guys. And now I feel like turning, so then that's where we really, I feel like, found our place on the team of like, hey, be vocal, be the, you're the motivator, you're, whatever role you fill in on on the team. And now being the older guy, I think it's fun helping. You see a younger guy get down on himself, which I've been in that situation, get frustrated really easily. You as the more experienced guy can go, hey, keep your chin up. Hey, I've been through this. You can kind of relate to them, help motivate them, help get them in the right mindset for some of those bigger games that we've now been fortunate enough to play in. Hadn't had a long time. We couldn't get over the hump. Didn't know how to win. So I think being able to pass on some of that mentality to the younger guys, I think, is kind of a role we've maybe started to fill in. I'm not going to say by any means we win a ton of games, but we've started to be able to figure out how to win a few of those close games, the bigger games, win when it matters. So I think that's kind of one way how it's kind of transitioned my role within the team. Also, not having to be there every game and feeling like we do have enough guys to be able to take over and fill in when I'm not there. You don't feel like, oh, I'm not going to show up. Are we going to have 9 guys? Or, will we have 10? Will we have 9? Will we have to forfeit? Like, you don't feel like you're letting your team down by not showing up. As long as you have a good reason. Now, if you just didn't show up, hey, I don't want to show up, that's a different story. But when you have things going on, other commitments, gives you a life, which still makes you want to kind of, you're not having to sacrifice too much other stuff to play baseball, so it makes you want to still play baseball as long as you can, and helps the wives and the other family members stay on board with you playing.
Absolutely.
Kind of like at work when you got to take a day of PTO, right? Like you just got to kind of recharge a little bit, step away, go back.
Yep.
Like got to kind of have that desire for it.
Yep. Yeah. Not
Another
it's like a job, but where you can enjoy doing it, but also know you have a pretty large role. Yep.
Yeah.
I would say another role I guess I kind of took on was like when I started, we had an older guy. He'd been on the team for many years, and he was kind of our admin guy who did our website, our Twitter, all these other things, and I kind of took over that role of making I update our Facebook page. I make sure now with a new NBA website and stuff, make sure we have contracts, make sure that all of our rosters are updated. So I work closely with our team manager Kyle, and making sure that we're legitimate. We don't get contracts signed. We don't have any mistakes that get us banned or anything. So that is something I've kind of changed in my role. I'm not only player, I always like to call myself the assistant GM. I help kind of coordinate things off the field too. Social media coordinator. Put that on the resume.
Yeah.
I wear a few different hats for that, and just it's fun to be able to make sure our fans can get updates on the games, and there's all these things that now you have to do to be able to play in the league. To make sure again you have your radius, your contracts, your are we the right point threshold? Is everybody's experience level updated? So just making sure. So this year was a bit of an adjustment, making sure we went through and got everything up to date, but. So that's kind of a role I've taken on over the last 7 to 10 years. Make the playlist every year. Pre-game playlist.
Important job.
Morries mix.
And then no one knows how to run it. No one knows how to run it.
We know how that is.
Just listening to the radio.
We know how that is.
I say showed up at the end of halfway through the year, and I was like, "What? No one's even played the playlist yet?"
Yeah, Matt's the master DJ.
They had an old school radio hooked up.
Yeah, that's what Kyle defaults to. It's like this chord goes in here. This works.
I've wanted walk-up songs for years, and we still haven't accomplished that.
Yeah, we'd have to convince Rick and Kurt in our shack to do that, and sometimes they struggle just turning the music off at the end of right before the start of the game. So
if the national anthem works, it's a good day for us.
Yeah, we don't even mess with that usually, except game days. It's the only time we do national anthem at home.
Yeah,
that's good.
Even that's always a hold your breath moment.
Sure. Yep. Crossing the fingers. Yep. A lot of times, you kind of hear in sports, like your welcome to the league moment, right? You're like your moment where you're like, whoa, this was like, this isn't Kansas anymore, So I guess with that phrase, but maybe a little bit different mindset of when was your welcome to the league moment, and it could be this is a little more difficult or isn't, or it could just be like, when did you first realize and kind of understand this is what Townball is about? I've kind of mentioned before, like for me, my first couple years, and part of it, I didn't have a lot of opportunities out there, and I didn't deserve to be out there. I was not good. But I didn't really fully understand what was it? What was Townball? Why is it such a huge thing for everyone up until these last couple of years? And I've really just tried to grasp it as much as I can. So, Matt, I'll start with you on this one. What was your kind of moment or your realization? This is amazing. This isn't anything I've ever done before.
No, what? It's a good question. I remember it would have been probably my 5th or 6th year playing Cannon Falls, and we faced Keith Myers and lefty, very solid pitchers. Still could bring it upper 80s, low, probably touching 90 here and there. And that was one of those, you're like, dang, he's good. And, we're Townball, you're like, there's some pretty solid guys in Townball still. You're not facing just guys throwing upper 70s, maybe some low 80s type stuff. You get some legitimate guys in there. That was one of the difficult, holy cow, this is tough. I don't know. There's one, I had a moment where you feel like you made it. You're like, hey, I'm part of Townball. Yeah. And I remember it was probably my 2nd or 3rd year facing. I think we were facing Lake Crystal and I think I made it like 8 innings or so. Couldn't
Nice.
throw a fastball for a strike, so I reverted to just throwing curveballs, and it worked.
Whatever works.
It made it like 8 innings, and it was like one of my first starts, first couple starts so it was probably my second year maybe. That was kind of one of them like, hey, I can kind of do this. I mean, got humbled many times after that, but gives you a little bit of confidence in there.
Absolutely. Bryan, what about you?
Yeah, I would agree with Matt that Cannon Falls game was like a pretty big, looking back now, it was like a pretty big eye-opening game. We made it to the region tournament, and at that time I think we were playing in Waterville, and we had lost it was double elim, kind of same format, get through the leagues, get to the regions. We had lost the day before, 1-0. Matt, you pitched that game versus Mitch Kelly, who was also a kid who was throwing pretty hard. And yeah, that was, man, we were like 21, 22, pretty young. And I think their
pitch 22, yeah.
I think their pitcher hit a doinker down the right field line, one of those tweener balls, the Bermuda Triangle, that scored their only run in the bottom of the 8th, and then we couldn't muster up a run. So then we had a little bit too much fun on Saturday night and probably had a little more than we could handle. And our game was probably like an 11 or noon start or something on Sunday. And then we faced, like you said, Myers, who was throwing pretty hard. And that was another game we lost like 2-0. And I think being the younger guys, we were right in the middle of the lineup, and our coach kind of let us have it after the game. So I think going back to it, you kind of understand, like at the time, you're just like, it's not just us, whatever. Right, but like now looking back, you're like, yeah, you gotta kind of, that's something we can pass on. Yeah, you gotta kind of step up and be a leader and say, hey, like we all want to have fun and have a few beers after the game, but like let's tone it down. So I think
I kind of forgot about that.
Yeah,
good point. Yeah,
as soon as you mentioned that, that's kind of the one that I kind of go back to too, kind of thinking about like sometimes like we probably had some chances in the first couple of years to maybe, because we had a few guys older and like you and Herb pitching pretty well too. But yeah, I think that was probably like, this is what Townball's about. It's so serious to a lot of, it's fun, but it's very serious and very competitive. And I think that's probably where it kind of hits.
Those dollar premium lights at the tournament, they can be dangerous.
Oh, we were probably drinking bottles of Boone's Farm at home or something.
Oh, yeah. wait, yeah.
or something, or like Ron Diaz or something like that.
That's good. Now talk to me a little bit about some of your baseball growing up. Now, did you guys play college ball at all, or was it just kind of right out of high school into it? Bryan, I'll start with you on that. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Well, I went to school my freshman year down at Waldorf, and I was on the baseball team. I didn't play at all. We had some like JV games that I participated in my freshman year. And then after that, I transferred to Bethany and finished out school there. I never played baseball there though. So then it was just kind of town ball after that.
Gotcha. That is where I went as well. I'm a Bethany grad myself too. I work there in the admissions right now too. So yeah.
Oh, nice.
Awesome. That's cool.
Oh, so you're probably, or you're not. I was gonna say you're not the ones calling me on the phone-a-thon, are you?
That is not me.
More money.
That is not me.
Just kidding.
Yeah, stop that, Lucas.
I just recruit the students.
So what year did you graduate, Lucas?
2019.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so we went to Paz went to Cross there.
Yep. I didn't play there at all. I student managed with helping out Coach Craig and the guys anytime I could. Stuff there was pretty awesome. So, but yeah,
you helped bring that program to the next level though, because they were always really good, but they couldn't quite get past Scholastica.
Yep, that was the Achilles heel for us for a while, and yeah, 2018 we finally beat them and made it to the D3 tournament. So that was an unreal year. Yeah, that was. I mean, like I said, I didn't even play, and I ton of memories. Like Nolan Gross being there was pretty.
There's a lot of Waterville guys.
Was it like Ben Baran? Probably.
Yep, I can't. Yeah, Ben Baran. I can't remember if he was there that year or the year after. Yeah, Ben Baran would have been there. Tom Gannon.
Yep.
Yeah, I can't remember Dallas McBroom. I can't remember if he was there at that point either. But yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. Cool. Matt, what about you? What was your kind of background in baseball and all that?
Yeah, I mean, I played all the way growing up. I mean, Spanky and I were pretty good rivals through Little League. Our 4-team league, Morristown Waterville. What was it? Morristown Waterville, Janesville, New Richland, or something like that.
Yeah, it was
4-team Little League, and it was always the Morristown Waterville rivalry. So that was always fun memories growing up. But otherwise, yeah, just did the normal, like did summer ball, VFW. I did some Legion. Played high school ball. I did play a year at Gustavus, but like Bryan, I was on the team, but not much of a contributor. Good at holding the bench down. I think I went on the spring trip down to Arizona, and I think my college ERA is like somewhere like 17 or 18, something like that. In my 2 innings, I think it's something like that, or not good. But it's one of those. Looking back, I wish I would have stuck with it a little bit more. Had a pretty bad attitude, just about I didn't get to play, and coming from high school where I was one of the better guys on the team, going to college where I was easily the bottom 2 guys. Like I was, maybe not bad, but just like relative to everybody else, I wasn't good. And it was one of those, it frustrated me. And again, had a very bad attitude, I just didn't want to show up. I feel like I got almost a case of the yips because like, I just didn't want to like go. So It just made me like mentally get inside my head, and I was just struggled. And, I don't think I gave my best effort. So it's one of those, like I said, that's something, hindsight's 2020 always. Wish you would have stuck with it, but I mean, who knows? Maybe I wouldn't have made the team the next year, anyways. But yeah, I played for a year. Good life lessons. Stuff to teach the kid. Hey, don't have a bad attitude. But then, like Bryan said, it's been summer, town team ball since after sophomore year of high school. So that's been the majority of my baseball has been town ball.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, that's always cool. I think that's one of the neatest things about town ball is everyone has much different past. You have the people who played, D1, D2, D3, was the best player on their team, and they're coming to play with guys 20 years older than them, and they kind of get humbled a little bit at times too. And then they're the folks that maybe just played high school and maybe played a little bit of college, and I don't know. I just think that's awesome. So I guess my next question, then kind of leading into that, Matt, and I'll start with you on this, is I guess if you're talking to someone who has no idea what town ball is, or maybe they've heard of it and they're like, oh, it's just like slow pitch softball, right? It's a men's rec league on a Sunday, right? I've gotten that quite a few times. How would you describe town ball? Like, I guess what would be the best way? Your elevator pitch. What's your elevator pitch for town ball?
There you go.
And we'll give you more than an elevator's time frame.
Yeah, I still haven't been able to perfect that. I mean, yeah, the response, you nailed it, is always like, oh, like it's slow, slow pitch. No, they throw, overhand, baseball. Oh, okay. And then you can always see their like just their thing. And I think the thing that I've been able to explain it to people the fastest is just telling people that it's a men's wood bat league. And then to put in perspective, the level of players is, what was it, like 3 years ago when we played Faribault, when
Petrichka was pitching?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So Jake Petrichka pitched for Faribault, and then like roughly less than a month later signed a pro contract.
He played
and I was
the White
like,
Sox, I think, at one point, didn't he?
Yeah.
And then I think he got cut like right after that, and that's why he pitched in Faribault for like those 2 games, and then I think he signed to the Cardinals or something. But it was one of those, like, we have you have an active major league pitcher playing in this league. I mean, over 2020 we had Brody Rodning. You guys, he's showing up and active in the. He's, I don't know what level he is now, but an active MLB player.
Yeah, Jake Petrichka has 237 career MLB innings.
Yeah, so like that's the quickest way is I like, hey, there's a few professional or former professional athletes playing this, and there's some current one. It was a weird year like 2020, and that year he had been cut, so he's technically not a professional athlete, but like pursuing professional baseball. So I think that's the quickest way I can always get people to be like, oh, so it's like an actual league, and actual baseball. So that's probably the quickest way, and that I've found, because otherwise, yeah, you feel like you go in circles, and people, I don't know, feel like if you didn't grow up as part of a town team, you just don't quite get it.
Brian, what about you? How would you describe it?
Yeah, I would say, yeah, for sure. I always bring up the Petrichka thing as well. That's always kind of the thing. It's like, yeah, a few years ago, Jake Petrichka was there, and I think we scrimmaged them in like April, so it's like a 50-degree day, and he's pumping like low 90s. Then he drops, a slider at like mid 80s, and it's like, okay. But that's kind of always the one. I also bring up Corey Koski's name since he still plays a little bit. And a few years ago, he was playing at the state tournament in Dundas, and he had a home run off of Kingery from
Bird Island,
shoot.
or he plays for Atwater, I think. But
Atwater, yes, correct. And then they always draft him, right?
yeah.
Hit a home run off of him, and so it's always kind of cool to tell those stories that you're like, hey, here's a if you don't know who Petrichka is, you can bring up Corey Koski. If you're from Minnesota, you probably know who Corey Koski is. And if not, then I'm probably not going to explain it to you anyways. But yeah, it's kind of a thing that you do have to go experience. Definitely go to a state tournament game.
Yeah.
There's so much fun there. There's so much buzz. Like, I think last year we went and watched Delano and Spring Hill on a Friday night up in Delano. And it's so cool. They got decks built up down the lines. I mean, it's just an awesome experience.
There's some gorgeous ballparks in this state.
Well, there's that kid that plays for Delano, right? That Toby Hansen. He played for the Gophers. Like, he hit like a 400-foot home run to right field. Like, just some legitimate players playing there. So it's kind of fun to say we compete with them, but we're out there on the same field, right?
Yeah, we share a field with them.
Yeah. I suppose that's it. Like, when we've played Jordan in the, obviously you guys have more of a front end experience, but we've played them in the region tournament too. And a lot of those guys, I think they got a couple guys that played minor league ball too, don't they?
Joe Lucas played minor league ball for sure. Scott Hollingsworth, I think, might have.
Yeah.
Trying to think. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he did. Yeah.
They got some good ball players over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a couple for sure. Yeah, that's awesome though. I think that was perfect. I mean, hit the nail right on the head. I think that's part of the reason why I ask that question a lot, is like, I kind of want to know how I should respond to people who mention that, and then you mention, it's amateur baseball, and they're like, I don't know what that means. I'm like, all right, I give up.
I think also mentioning the scale, like, I mean, the number of teams in the state, it's not just like a mom and pop league that's just thrown together, like, where there's 6 teams and you're like, I won the state tournament. And you're like, how many teams? There was 8 teams. Cool. It's like, spanning the entire state, every, small town and, church bar baseball field had a team, so I think that also helps people understand, like, how big the league is versus just like, you play in like a metro league, when because like down here in the Des Moines area, there's a couple leagues, but most of them have like 8 teams per age group. A little bit different than in Minnesota when you're in Class C and there's 162 teams or whatever there is. You're going for 48 spots, and there might even be more than what I just said. So
and I think there's such a rich history with it too, right? Like, what are we at, 101 this year for the state tournament?
Yeah.
101st. So, like, and obviously it was going on before that. So, like, it's just pretty cool to be a part of something that's been going on that long.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, that's great. I think that was perfect. I guess what has been both of your guys's favorite town ball moment? And maybe it was going to state in 2019, and that's totally okay, or maybe it's something completely different. But what is your guys's favorite town ball moment that you're gonna take with you and tell your kids, grandkids, great grandkids, and until the day that you die? Brian, I'll start with you on that.
Oh man, well, yeah, obviously. So going to state in 2019, it's gonna take the cake. That was a pretty cool year. That's when we were in the region, same region we're in now with you guys, and that's when we had all the teams basically in. So it was a 16-team format or whatever, double elim, and we had lost to St. Peter in round 1.
Oh, yeah.
And
Couldn't get any lower that after we lost.
We had one of our comedian games that day, and and then I think we came back the next weekend, and I think we played Arlington or Wells, and what we played one of you, and then we played the other one. It was like Saturday, Sunday, I think, the next weekend. And then the following weekend we played Friday night, and we beat Henderson in Le Sueur.
Yeah.
Yep. And then Saturday we played Belle Plaine, and we didn't have much of a shot at beating those guys. So that was kind of a fun game. I think we ended up winning 2-1, and there was like a 3-hour rain delay in the bottom of the ninth.
Oh wow!
Between top and the bottom of the ninth, 3 hours.
Yes.
Oh cow!
And
wow.
I'm gonna
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think I'm gonna toot my own horn here a little bit out, and I'll toot yours here a little bit, Matt.
Please.
But so we actually, that game in the top of the first inning, we had bases loaded, nobody out, I believe. And I think you were up, Matt. Is that correct?
Yes.
You hit a ground ball back to the pitcher. They went home to first. So then we were second and third. I was on second, and I think I would have gotten a third on that. I think somebody else was. Yeah. And then the guy behind you walked. I think we had the bases loaded again with 2 outs, and I stole home on the kid's windup.
Really?
Yeah, straight steal.
I didn't watch the pitcher, so I'm not 100% sure exactly what he did. I just took off, but I think he like kind of stepped off or something and spiked the ball. And as the ball bounced, I touched home and the catcher caught it. So it's kind of that was one of our 2 runs. So it's kind of a big deal for me. A guy who doesn't hit home runs.
That was also like his third stolen base of home of the year. He like stole home like 200 times during the year.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to tee it. That's Nick's ultimate dream in an inning to steal second, third, and home. So maybe you'll have to give him some pointers, Brian.
I don't steal second or third. I just steal home.
He just steals home.
It's got to have a slow wind up. You time it up right. But so that was pretty cool. And then I think that game too, before the delay, 6th or 7th inning, you came in to pitch, Matt. Is that correct?
I think it was top 7 I came in, or part of the way through the 7th, or part of the way through the 6th or the 7th in the bottom. I can't remember which one it was.
So then you finished off that game with like a 3-hour rain delay. And then Blue Earth had to play Eagle Lake in between us. Eagle Lake beat Blue Earth. So then we had to start our game against Eagle Lake in Jordan that night at like 10 o'clock.
Oh, it was late. Yeah, it was like 8:30, 9 o'clock. It was probably like 9 o'clock-ish.
Yeah, because it was pretty late when we got out of there. And then I think you pitched that whole game too.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a pretty crazy day. So
unreal.
You guys had to win like 5 or 6 in a row.
We had to win 5 in a row.
Yeah, because we had to go all the way through the losers bracket since we lost right away.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy.
So that was
one of the longest days of baseball in my life. Starting we had the 11 o'clock game, so we were there at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And I think we went through the McDonald's drive-through like a little before midnight. Got our McChicken. Yeah, Jordan.
McChicken with cheese we got.
Yep, there you go.
Yeah.
Can't get the cheese.
Having basically 2 3-hour breaks throughout. It was game, 3-hour break, half an inning, 3-hour break. It was a day.
So what about you, Matt? Is that your moment too, or what would be your?
Oh yeah, that's definitely the moment. Like just the feeling of that. Like for some people, going to state's routine. You get there every couple of years. I mean, we had what was the 20? It was 89.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, I think it was like 30 some years, or right at 30 years.
Yeah, it was like 1980. I think we were right at 30 years. It was like 2000 or 1989 was the last year that Morristown had made it. So like you had guys like Kyle who started in 91, never had made it. We have some of our like biggest fans, like they work our shack, they do our field. Hadn't seen anyone make the team in 30 years. Like it's one of those that made you realize that you're not just playing for like you and even the guy next to you on the bench, but like it's the community. Like he was literally in tears. This guy, like
that's awesome.
His kid has played on the team for 20 some years, and he's had his other boys play in the team. And like I said, he gets our field ready every day or every game, and he spends countless hours just helping us out. And I think seeing that was probably one of the coolest moments. But yeah, like I think we won on strike 3 So like like to me the best way to win a baseball
Yeah.
game.
Throw the gloves.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was looking, it would have been better. I think he swung. I can't remember, but it's just like after the game, and I mean we had a couple guys leave to actually go to the Twins game. I think we had 2 guys leave. So
Yeah,
we had 10 guys.
10 guys, and one of them was a 16-year-old taking book and coaching first.
Yes, he was and he was drying baseballs because it was damp out. And so it was the Iron Nine out there, and it was this core group of guys that had played for 10 plus years together, had never really made it past even a win in regions, and to make it a state, like I said, that was pretty cool. Amazing. And I mean, it was fun too. We all grew mustaches, dyed them all jet black that year. So we had we even got Rick, this guy from the community. He even dyed his mustache. I don't know if he dyed it or used mascara.
I think he used mascara.
Yeah. So like even got him to do that. So like it was a community win. It wasn't just for us on the field, but like I said, that's easily the number one. Just that you're so happy. You're just like you've never been in that situation. You just don't know what to do. And like I said, for some guys, they're like, hey, you made it to state. That's cool. Good for you. And then like we'll be lucky to get back there ever again. So
right, yeah,
I've still never been.
Yeah, it's a cool moment when you make it, and especially when you're not supposed to make it. We weren't the team that anyone was like, oh yeah, they have a shot at making state this year. We're the couple of scrappy underdogs that are. I mean, we have the total experience of I think 5 years of college baseball out of all of our players. Not 5 players with college baseball, 5 total years.
And most of that's Doug, our 57-year-old. Well, I guess Herb.
I was talking Herb. I guess I don't count Doug. He's too old. But he played baseball in college. But I mean, otherwise the other 2 guys are Spanky and I with a year apiece. Then we rode the bench. So I like I said, that was a fun year. But I mean, we've had some other cool moments throughout our time. But like I would say that's easily making that is definitely number one.
Yeah. It's like the Moneyball quote. How can you not be romantic about baseball, right?
Oh, yeah.
1000%.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. So I guess I know there probably isn't a specific timeline with Townball. It's kind of just, I mean, like you said, you have a guy that's been on the team for 30 years. I guess both of you guys, what is your timelines? Is it just kind of one of those things where you're gonna play until your body says, "Hey, we're done," and then give it 5 more years after that, or what's or is it there's no timeline? It's just you'll have a day where you're just like, yeah, it's not for me anymore, or maybe take it till your grave. I don't know, Matt. What do you think?
I might be that guy of your body gives out and you still play 5 more years as long as my wife lets me. But I would love to be able to play it with my son. I know he is just born. He turns 1 at the end of August, so I've got a few years to go. But I think that would be a pretty cool thing to just say, like, you played a game with him. You're on the field at the same time. That'd be a goal of mine. Like I said, that's a long ways away. I'd be almost 50 years old at that point. So don't know if that's realistic, but I think that would be pretty. I've got a few good guys that have shown me the way above me. So maybe if I can get some longevity like them. But no, I mean, I think realistically, it also will just be making sure like the team's kind of in good hands. Like we got young Nooper guys that they're not going to fold on us. Like I would hate to see that happen. And honestly, like I don't know if I could I'll ever completely give it up. Like I could see myself being the guy that you show up, you help get the field ready. You're just doing random volunteer work on the baseball association. I can see myself being that guy of just can't quite completely give it up, and especially if there's any ties to the game or to the field. I think that would be I think that'll be me. Just can't give it up.
Absolutely. Bryan?
Well, so I think that after the way this last year ended, I think I would like to give it one more like competitive go of really being out there and doing what I can. But if we have someone younger that's in there that's a better option, I would prefer that person to play over me for the betterment of the team. And I'm not the judge of that. Matt might be, but but I think I would like to give at least one more go. I don't like the way we ended this year. It was too abrupt. It came crashing down, and I No disrespect to the teams that beat us, but I think we could have given a better effort, myself included. So I'd like to do that, and then after that, I would like to do more of the like coaching first base, being there and doing whatever I can do. If we have 9 guys, I'll go out there and play. I'm probably going to be at 90% of the games.
Yeah.
I've missed a handful of games in 16 years, so
Yeah.
I'll probably still be there. But I think it would be good to have some of these young kids take over and, like you say, Matt, leave it in good hands, right?
Yeah.
I'm
I
sure
think that's the biggest thing we'd love. It's just,
Yeah.
you get to, so that way our kids can hopefully play on it someday. And,
I'm sure I'll still remain the director of procurement, but
oh yeah,
I'm our
all
top,
our made up titles.
I'm our top buyer. So
That's good. That's good. Well, man, unofficial player retirement announcement there. So I guess you can, go in all your games next year. They can give you the retirement tour.
Yeah, right.
Miguel Cabrera retirement tour.
A rocking chair out of broken bats. And
yeah, there we go.
Oh yeah,
all that stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. I love it. I love it. Great, guys. I mean, this was awesome. Now kind of end of the show, I kind of like to put it in your hands. Is there anything that Nick or I missed that we didn't bring up that you would like to talk about at all, or things you would like to discuss or whatever, or anything that you want to plug too? Anything super important that you want to drop out there to either of you guys?
I don't know. Give a shout out to Brandon Olson for mentioning the Morristown Morries. I think he was in one of your first episodes.
Yeah.
He mentioned that crazy
He's our
COVID
most viewed
game.
episode.
He mentioned our crazy COVID game, I think, where Matt hit a grand slam to cap off our 10-run top of the ninth to come back on them the one year.
That's crazy.
that would have probably been my second best Townball memory.
I was gonna say that one was right up there. That one was pretty cool. I think asking my wife to marry me on the baseball field was kind of a cool deal too.
Oh wow!
So that was a long time ago, but no. What are your guys' thoughts on the reclassification?
I'm not a fan
because I'm sure this is going to be one of the most controversial topics.
Yeah. I'm personally not a fan. I mean, I'm not going to get too much into it, but
sure.
I mean, to me, like Division I football's like the popular one, right? Division I, everything. But Townball is like C, like the lower class is what most people cared about, to be honest. The C, Class C attendance for state is way more than Class B. And now they're like, yeah, let's just put everybody in Class B, and they're putting some teams in Class A, and it's just, they're all over the place, and it's basically you're just getting punished for being good. And like, I know the point of it is, for the teams out there that do go out and get all these college kids from elsewhere and whatnot, but it's like some teams are just good and they're getting punished for it. Like I know Young America, they basically have all kids from their town and they just kept making state every year. So all of a sudden they just got pushed up, but they never actually won state. And like, at least let them like get to the championship first or something, right? So I don't know. I'm personally not a huge fan, but what's my opinion matter? So
oh, I like it. It's good.
Absolutely. What are your guys' thoughts? Where do you fall in line with that?
I think some sort of reclassification was needed. I don't know if this is the right way. I guess I don't. I think it's going to take a few years to know if it's the best way, the wrong way, if it's a complete flop, or if it's a success. Yeah. The only reason I say that I think some sort is just you look at how many teams are at each level, and it's like, oh, there's like 30 or 40 in Class A, 30 or 40, or however many are Class A, and then there's like 40 or 50, 60 in Class B, and then it just balloons to Class C of like having 100, however many teams.
Sure.
So I think some sort of like evening of that out is good. I just don't know if, like I said, I don't know what's the point threshold. How do you control for a guy that, a team that's close to the metro and they can pull a few more guys than say like in Arlington, you're a little further out. You can't, and then you have Gaylord right next to you and you have all these teams right next to you pulling their guys. So then you're looking at just your hometown. But then there's also the teams that are right next to a metro, and then they're all of a sudden you pull 2 or 3, higher level college guys. Well, maybe that all of a sudden, that bumps them to that next level. Well, it's only 2 guys, versus then you get, like I said, the teams way up in Roseau, or you get these teams way in the middle of nowhere. And I mean, I give them respect for having a team, but so it's like, how do you control for all of those variables without having a blanket? This is the rule for everybody, even if it sucks for you.
Sure.
I don't know if there is. I don't know if there is a perfect answer.
Yeah, I guess that would be my main issue is the threshold. Like, I'm fine with reclassification. Obviously there's some teams way too good for Class C, have been here a long time, probably should be B. But like, to me, the point threshold just too low. I mean, if you have like, depending on the population of your town, you could have a bunch of people from your town. You could have like one person outside of it. They play college ball, and sorry, you're B. It's like, well, that's okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and like I said, that's where it's tough. Of like, okay, how do you, where do you draw that line, and what is the number? And I think that's what I mean, and that's where it may change in a couple of years. Who knows? Maybe they realize like, ooh, that actually wasn't good for competition, and too many teams are now like doing sketchy things and trying to like get under the threshold, and I could see it changing every couple of years, to be honest. Because all of a sudden, what happens if there's a bunch of guys that the majority of teams are in Class B, and there's only 60 in Class C, and now there's 120 in Class B. They're going to have to re-justify it again. So like, I could see this being a fairly fluid system, but again, I don't make the rules. Just get to follow.
We get to talk.
I know we'll be Class C for a long time.
Yeah, I was gonna say we have a little bit of work to do to get to jump bumped up.
I think Arlington is like 2 points.
Yeah, I say this year, I think we added one guy that played college ball, and we changed that. We went to the city versus the school district, so we're like 6 points, 5 because our success point fell off.
Nice.
We had a success point in there, but we don't anymore. So
That's good. That's good. Awesome. Sweet, guys. Well, I really appreciate both of you coming on and chatting some town ball. I mean, this was unbelievable. I love getting to talk to different people, and especially a couple folks like yourself that I don't really know, that I hadn't known as well before too. I like to hear different people's thoughts and where they're at with everything. So on behalf of Nick and I certainly appreciate both of you guys coming on. That was a great time. It was a great time.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah. Thanks so much for having us.
Absolutely.
It's a pretty cool deal.
You're welcome to come on whenever too. Open invite with that.
Maybe
awesome.
next year.
There we go. That's right. When we're both in state, we'll have a Morristown Arlington state Pacific episode.
Do it from the Grain Belt Premium. Is that what they still call it? Is it still the Grain Belt Premium
Light Invite? Yeah.
Premium Light Invite.
Yeah.
We basically just call it
we should go live. Yeah, we should go live after one of the games or something up there. That'd be fun.
Could do one then.
That'd be good.
That's a great idea, Matt. Nice.
Awesome.
There we go.
Sweet. Well, folks, once again, thank you to everyone that listened to this fantastic episode as well too. You can certainly follow Nick and I on Twitter, follow the podcast. Like, comment, share, and like I said, if there's ever anyone that's listening to this that ever wants to come on or knows someone that wants to come on, let them know. Let us know. We would love to have them. We would love to have them for sure. But anyways, folks, as for Nick and myself and Brian and Matt, until next time, we are out.